Hello everyone, and thank you for being here. I recently visited Fort Gaines on Dauphin Island in Alabama, another supposed fort on an island. I'll get into a couple other forts, Fort Jefferson and Fort Pickens. All the images that you'll be seeing are from personal boots on the ground, minus the Fort Jefferson pictures. I'll also get into some of the timelines briefly. Most of the structure looking cooked out as usual. Not wasting any time, let's go ahead and dive right into this strange wall, which honestly I can't believe it's still here. But I do want to thank the controllers for leaving it. You first have to ask yourself, why would anyone build something like this in this disaster of a mess with brick in a fort? Hundreds of thousands of bricks, but we're going to go a little off the cuff and just make this mess, right? But in any case, plenty of different styles of cooked out and melted brick. Little pieces, big pieces, some blocked up with remnants of tiny pieces of brick, maybe just one brick. At first I was thinking a small portion of this could have been patched or repaired, but as I look at it, I just really don't think so. One side of the wall seemed to be jetting out, while the other side of the wall is almost completely flat. How do you logically explain this construction with the construction all around it is totally different? This spot to me just seems like it got extremely hot, cooked out more than anything else around it. If you try to make sense of it with the narratives they give us, you'll just go in circles and be more confused. Going to get into Fort Jefferson just for a second, then back to Fort Gaines
Fort Jefferson
and Fort Pickens.
In the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. Some weird looking bricks here, in and out. Down here looks extremely damaged. Just some waves casually going over the brick wall here. This is an extreme moat out in the middle of Gulf of Mexico. What seems to be going on here and here? Underneath the fort, we've got an anchor. We've got building, obvious building here. You can see the lines. All this brick is just changing from the heat. Look at this up top. You gonna do this? Civil War time in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico? Okay. Are we really thinking that they're building this right here? All this, do they have some few thousand pallets of bricks like extra and they're just gonna put all this right here? What's the reason for that? Can't you just do it straight up? Yeah, all this brick's kind of unnecessary. Just put your gun like right up here. How difficult would this be? Honestly. Look at this down here. We gotta get ships and come out with 16 million bricks, and we're gonna start putting it in the sand. Right, in the middle of nowhere. In the water. And then on top of that, we're gonna make it look real fancy on top. We're just gonna do all these little archways. So when the ships come by, because they probably won't come by, because you're in the middle of the Gulf.
A little about Fort Jefferson here. The park's actually 100 square miles, but 98% of it is underwater. With a famous prisoner, Dr. Samuel Alexander Mudd. Interesting last name. The fort contains over 16 million bricks, making it the largest brick building in the Western Hemisphere and covering 11 of the island's 16 acres. Despite the structure's enormity and the years of work that went into building it, the fort was never finished. Here at Fort Pickens, we have a construction date of 1829 with 21.5 million bricks. So somewhat of a conflicting story about the biggest brick building in the Western Hemisphere. Fort Gaines with a construction date of 1817. Construction was halted and began back in 1857. Definitely wouldn't trust that guy. And Fort Gaines also being another fort, they say, that was never completed. We're back at Fort Gaines here. Just wanted to compare a couple of different rooms. Both forts I did visit, and they had one room looking like this. The brickwork is just absolutely amazing, but also is twisted in a weird way. Are you really constructing something like this for war back in the early 1800s? I mean, at least they could have called this the music room or the mini cathedral house. Simply, the amount of bricks is just amazing. It's all complete brick, super thick, twisting and turning like it's no big deal on an island, on sand, with horse and cart. Swapping back over to Fort Pickens, only one room with the same style of incredible brickwork for no reason. And here with some shots of brick morphing, changing, melted into rock. It's pretty clear that some kind of major heat event happened that we are not told about. Here's a spot, bricks doing different things, and had to bend down about 2 feet to get in this, and it's just a plethora of brick everywhere. You definitely have more square footage of brick than room. Here another room, just completely crazy with the brick design. Very small room. Hey, what's the need in this? Or are you going to store something in here in this 10 by 10 with all these angles? Definitely pay attention to the floor, like a mud floor with brick all mixed in it. And this thing right here, crazy. Too close together for one. You would never build that close together. You most definitely wouldn't just slap that together and just leave all the mortar everywhere. Bricks, bricks, bricks. Archways on the ceilings for no reason, really. You step into this room and it's just complete brick. Little pieces all on the floor. Why is it like that? Every other room just has either brick or stone. This was very interesting here. It is not sand, it's like a powder. It's possibly the mortar that's just deteriorated or was fried. But regardless, it's all pretty much mortarless brick, and then you get looking very heat damaged here. Going back to this crazy wall with the bricks everywhere and this shell effect. Outer covering, possibly in mortar. This section here, what this brick's done, it's just gone totally wild, along with everything around it. The separation here, brick pieces. How would you logically explain this? Looking very cooked out and fried. I'm still happy that this is left over. What I see is the churning of the brick, and they're all different. And this is almost completely like what's above here. There's just little pieces of brick left. I'm just looking.
and everything seems to be brick and mortar without a covering, and got totally devastated. Just a piece casually laying on the brick floor here. Look at what this has done. The changing of the brick, and you still have pieces here and here. It was all the same thing. Massive brick with a tiny space. Very interesting piece here with all the brick all around it. Bit of a closer shot here. And just look at what this looks like, and I'll show some others. Similar style, but different, more melted and cooked out. You have bricks all intermingled here. All this is fried off somehow. You have bricks still left over. You can see them. They're all right here. So we have the brick structure, because that's what these are. And you have this iron piece, and they can call it whatever they want. But you can see here the melting off, because this was a definite circle like all the other ones, but it's just gone. So look at this corner here. Why the other corners like that? What happened here? You got this whole section that's gone. Looks like it completely almost melted down, and these cracks. And everything is cracked, most likely from heat. You have this section here, and why would you ever construct something like this? Or is it caved in? Because there's brick everywhere. All changed, different colors. Brick cooked right here. Distinctly. How's the brick changing like this? See over here? What's this doing here? This is not from weathering. First of all the bricks look different. You got to be real specific where you're putting your gun. You can only shoot somebody that's like right here and a little bit to the right and left. Of course, you're on an island, so. What is this brick doing here? Looks like it's crystallizing in certain spots. These have almost turned a pink color. So they're going to put the biggest sign possible about how a shell hit from a ship and did this effect. Well, this effect is all over the fort, and you got these bending in bricks here. This brick almost turning to rock. What's happening here? Are these shells of electricity? I mean, come on. So if a brick just sits there, is it going to be charred on the corner like this? Do you really think they put all these different kind of cooked out bricks together? Well, this one's not very good for a gun. Maybe right up here. What seems like concrete was an outer covering, in my opinion, with brick internals. And these are some of the pieces here you just have laying around. All brick and mortar covering. Here's a spot where you have to become a leprechaun or hobbit midget to get under here. I had to duck about 2 feet. But this is interesting here. Coloring. Where's this gone? Was this all over it? And it's burnt out, cooked out, changed color. That's what it looks like. Pieces of iron here. And over here. This could be iron, not sure, but it's changed so much. It's almost hard to tell sometimes between the brick and the iron, but if you're close up, you can tell. The violin room, once again. This brickwork is just insane. Was it actually built like this? Or did something happen and it changed into what we're seeing as far as not being level and stuff, just kind of falling on itself. Don't know. Could have been built like this, but this room is just all you see here. That's as much room as you have for all these thousands of bricks in this immaculate way. A little closer. What are you storing here? The fake narrative. It's an interesting tunnel with, it looks like the mortar just kind of poking out of all the bricks. And a lot of this is mortarless to the right and the left down here. Pretty comical here how they're describing this piece of ship they have laying in there. Probably built between 1800 and 1850. Probably, and within these 50 years, maybe. Here's the piece here. All copper. Going in the wood. Very cooked here, crystallized here in certain spots, but you have these fried out holes everywhere. All the brick are different colors. More friedness. This section here is changing. You can see it from basically here to all the way down this line, but you can see the bricks changing, getting more towards the rock effect or melty effect, including the mortar. Just piles of scrap building from wherever, but look what's in the middle. It's all pieces of brick. I've seen these before through just pictures, but it's my first one I found, and there was just one sitting there. Pretty crazy. This one seems to have had possibly a stamp. Looks like maybe some words in here, but can't make out any of it. The spot where you think it's sand, and it is definitely not sand. More of a powder. Probably has a lot of lime in it from the mortar. You see all the bricks changing. This is just totally melted out almost. This specific stuff here and here, it's like what you would see in the desert or in Petra, or places all around the world. This is just a very small micro level of it. Certain spot, walkway here, and what I've said in previous videos is yes, there are some bore holes that have been put in, and we do today, possibly, but this is just the brick lines left over. And you had brick everywhere. Why would you be laying this stuff on an island? You have to quarry it out, supposedly, right? Different shot of that. Some are raised up, some are more flat. Looks like from the bottom everything was cooking.